First off, hello. And I know many of you have reached out to me throughout the day, and it's not that I'm trying to ignore you intentionally, even though there are some that I like more than others. But in fairness, it's just there's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and just trying to navigate this in a way that is fair, just, and also responsible to our organization and to the team. So here's where we stand. We currently have 4 positive tests, and I would say that we can confirm that they are COVID positive. It's 3 players and 1 staff member. We have 4 tests that are currently inconclusive at this time, and so what we've done is we've continued to isolate. Our team has not been together um, since we flew in here on Wednesday night, and we feel like we have a fairly good idea of isolation and understanding of where um, this has really evolved to, and so we're very optimistic that we can get back on the field. um, as many of you know, this schedule has been done, so we are not playing the 2 games tomorrow in Milwaukee. The Monday night game in Detroit has been postponed until Wednesday, where we'll play uh, 2 7-inning games. So, so from that standpoint, we feel confident by the time we get to Detroit on Monday that we will have control of this. We've been testing, and from the league standpoint, from the Cardinals standpoint, we feel comfortable moving forward. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer questions.
So Mo, the 4 positives will remain in Milwaukee. Is that correct? And do you know how long they would have to isolate there?
Actually, we have sent 2 back to their homes via car, and the 2 additional people will likely be transferred back to St. Louis as well.
Mo, the 4 outstanding tests that are inconclusive, can you break those down in terms of players and staff members?
The inconclusives would be 1 player, 3 staff.
Mo, I apologize. My video isn't working here. It's given up on the day. If you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay. What's the rationale behind the Detroit series being entirely in Detroit and no longer split between Detroit and St. Louis?
The thinking was that we're flying there, and it just didn't make sense to just then fly back and be on a plane again. We're just trying to minimize the quote like togetherness in these tight quarters as best we can. And in fairness, that trying to accommodate, we didn't want to play a doubleheader on our first day back, and so trying to also, accommodate Detroit to some level that they're being inconvenienced. So it's really just sort of a thank you for them to being willing to just take us and not force us to play a doubleheader on our first day back.
Mo, do you
some light? I don't know if you're able to, but can you shed some light on how and where a St. Louis Cardinal player or staff member originally got the coronavirus, COVID-19?
I really can't. And I mean, first off, I think it's like incredible how people are just like looking to find this answer as if to like create this blame game. And so I find that rather sickening and annoying. We're in a pandemic. The likelihood of where someone could have gotten this could be anywhere from a grocery store to a bar and everywhere in between. But trying to determine that, I don't think is very helpful. And even if I knew, I probably would not say it publicly because I wouldn't want somebody brandished with that label.
I saw that the Miami Marlins, it was reported that they've figured out which player, how it happened, and that was mentioned. So I was just curious if there was any information from your end. So that's where I was coming from. Thank you.
Are they showing symptoms?
Everybody to date is symptom free. asymptomatic.
You said you're confident y'all will be back on the field pretty soon. What gives you the confidence that this won't be a lingering thing, that y'all will be playing again before long?
Well, we have been separated for some time now. The fact that we have the ability to test gives you some idea of how this can be contained. And so I think, like I stated to you guys yesterday, we're learning every day, but I feel like given the fact that we weren't forced to try to play tomorrow or even on Monday we're just buying time. And I think that gives you an advantage to help understand where it is, who's it affecting, and hopefully we can manage through that.
Oh, your schedule still has one remaining 2-game series when Minnesota comes to St. Louis, as well as the Field of Dreams game. Do you expect there to be further schedule adjustments to minimize those short trips?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Mo, do you know when you're going to have results on those tests that are inconclusive? Any idea?
I'm hopeful that we have all day tomorrow, so that's like the good news, because there's no travel required tomorrow. So I think we can sort of manage through this, but I do expect some results tomorrow. So I would imagine I will have a Zoom sometime tomorrow.
So you'll travel Monday to Detroit then, correct, Mo?
As of this moment, that's what we're tentatively have scheduled.
If that's the case, can you have, and correct my math, but 27 players on the roster then have had multiple negative tests. Can you quantify how many tests these guys have taken since Wednesday? They had their scheduled test Wednesday, and then they've had how many days of double testing?
I'd have to think through that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Then I'll ask a general question. Do you find some comfort in that you still have such a good handle on where a majority of the roster is because of this testing?
Of course. I mean that's I think why you test. I mean, even the general public wants to be tested, so they understand if they should be interacting or not. And so it's very helpful to test.
Mo, because of the contact tracing that you guys did, were you able to kind of identify who might, need to be concerned about the positive test today?
Yes. So yes, when we got those results, it wasn't a surprise at all.
You've gotten the results of both of those tests? Because I know as of this morning, you only had the first half of those, the rapid ones. Did you get the saliva ones back too today?
Yes.
Mo, how involved was MLB with this stuff? Was it just on you guys to do all the extra testing, or were you working heavily with the league, and did you get additional resources from them? Because obviously, a lot of teams were waiting to see what happened with you all.
They were helpful, yes. MLB was definitely proactive, and I mean, a lion's share of this work was, internal from employees, but they were still a resource, yes.
Mo, you mentioned you had some players coming north from Springfield. Given the changes in the schedule, how has that changed the view of the other players that you might bring in?
Still working through our roster construction. Given the fact that we don't play till Tuesday, will likely mean no announcement until Monday on what we end up doing.
But those players are going to be with the team or are with the team?
They will likely join us, yes.
Thank you.
Well, I'm hopeful that this is something we can manage through. I always believe that sports, baseball specifically, has been something that fans and people in general were hoping to get back on the field. And so to not keep trying, I just don't think that's what everybody's intentions are. And so did we think there were going to be some speed bumps along the way? Of course. And just getting camps going was difficult. But these things can happen, and whether it's a normal job or a baseball job, there's always some risk when you're working under the umbrella of a pandemic. And so I would just ask that our fan base be patient, and hopefully we get back on that field.
So is everybody still going to be isolated in their rooms tomorrow? And are you going to try to have a workout Monday in Detroit since you won't have played for several days?
Exactly. So we will remain isolated tomorrow. And then first time the team will be back together will be when we get on that plane.
But then once you get to Detroit, you're going to try to have a workout?
Yes, that's why we were hopeful to not play on Monday, so we could at least be on the field before we actually have to have a game.
Well, obviously, your job has been relentless over the last couple of days. Has there been one particularly challenging thing, whether it's communicating with players or communicating with testing facilities? Has there been any one thing that has stuck out for you?
Not really. Like our communication tree internally is we use a software called Teamworks. It's an app it makes it really quite simple to communicate with your team and your staff. And then on top of that, in terms of being able to speak with Milwaukee or MLB, everybody's been very accessible. And I assure you, there's been some very late nights. And when I'm calling New York and I realize it's 3:30 in the morning there, it's like, those are pretty uncomfortable hours for people. I've had some contact with players. Obviously, text messaging works fine, even in a pandemic, but I've had no players mention opting out, nor has the topic even come up.
Mo, was your contact tracing able to determine whether any of the staff who tested positive or have inconclusive tests may have been in areas of the ballpark that are accessible beyond the tier 1 and tier 2 folks? And if so, how does that process proceed from here?
None of that came up. All the connections were in secured areas. Well, that's all I have for tonight. We'll reconnect tomorrow. Sound good? Thank you.